Okay. No. Right, let's do it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the James Allcott channel. The game between Liverpool and Manchester City has finished. Oh, I haven't done it again, have I, with auto-tune? Let me check. No, I haven't. It's finished 4-1. 4-1 to Manchester City. I'm going to get pretty much straight into my first half reaction because it's interesting, because it's amazing, and this is exactly why I do it. A game of two halves, exactly as you're just saying there, guys. Make your way in, because I want to hear what you guys have to say about this game, because I can do all the tactical stuff that I want, but when there's individual errors like there is, nah. There's only so much you can say. What a game. It's not 0-0, which I'm buzzing about. Can we first and foremost smash the like button for the fact that this is not a 0-0 game as we talk about it. Woo! That's a buzz in itself. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the lives. I want to hear what you guys got to say, guys, because this is one of those where it's not even about tactics, but we will dive into it. First things first, here is what I was thinking at halftime. Right then, guys, 0-0 at half-time. Man City missing another penalty at Anfield. Are they destined to get something out of this, Liverpool? Really fascinating game. Let's get into the lineups, because what the lineups have created are just a very clogged up midfield, which I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm going to show you the average positions at half-time in this game. Let's have a look at those lineups. Big one for Liverpool. The centre-backs, was Kabak going to come in? Was Ben Davies going to be involved? Nope, is the answer. Henderson and Fabinho. Henderson, I think, has been superb in this game so far. And those two being the centre-backs. And then a very fluid midfield three, which I'll show you in a minute through the average positions. Man City, big changes here. Jesus not playing in this one. You got Sterling, who everyone thought might be the centre-forward, but no. Foden playing that false nine. And Sterling and Mahrez pushing a lot further forward. The game, very, very tentative. Let me show you the average positions at half-time, because I think this is where it's most fascinating. Really clogged up in the middle of the midfield here. You got Cancelo, who does what he does. He's now, it's been a change since that great run. It's been Cancelo playing as this sort of DM with the ball, playing as a right back without the ball. And Foden being that false nine. So Foden drops in to sort of clog up that midfield, to make sure that they're able to get through there easily, to safeguard the team. And I think, look, the good thing is you've got two teams who really are eyeing each other up. For everyone to be in this area of the pitch, it's not normally like that, especially in a lot of these big frustrating games that we've seen in recent times. You know, one team's dominating as opposed to the other one, and it's all in one half, and another team's trying to break on the counter-attack. First half, really, really tentative for two different reasons, in my opinion. For my opinion, Man City get out of here with a draw at the very least, and they're more than happy. They move on and they ride into the sunset, I think, with a title. They need to stop the momentum of Man City, and that's why Liverpool need to win this game so desperately. Like I said, Henderson having a cracking game for me. I tell you what I love with his average positions here, and you see it, he's just on the front foot all the time, driving the team forward. And I think you see the importance in terms of being that trigger to show that dynamism and just that kind of lack of fear. Henderson, look how far further up the pitch he is than Fabinho. Part of that is due to the passing networks that Liverpool have, but really it's down to Henderson being on the front foot as much as possible, trying to drive this team forward. Mane, the same thing. You normally see him looking to go beyond. Firmino in these little pockets here, looking to set it up and obviously helping get the Salah on the ball. We saw it a couple of times. There was a counter-attack after a corner for Liverpool, where what you wanted from Guardiola, which is the ability to play on the counter-attack, and it could have happened by playing this false nine. One, you stop them playing through the midfield, which is one thing. But secondly, when they do get the ball, you've got those passes to Sterling and Mahrez, who you can see is so far forward. You know, for him to be in front of Trent, it shows that Trent's cheating a little bit. But it also highlights that Sterling is the outlet for them in this game, and that's why they're not playing Jesus. And I think the idea is that you've got two centre-backs that if you've got someone who's right in front of you, then fine. But I think the awkwardness could become when, on that counter-attack, they don't know if they should go forwards or back, but also there's the passes to Gundogan, Sterling, Mahrez and Silva as well. If they're able to do it, it's not from a starting point. They're tracking back, so they're hoping to be able to work their way around it and utilise all this space that Man City very, very rarely get. For Liverpool, I'm interested by this midfield three. I thought Thiago was really poor in the first half. Let's see if he can start to dominate, because that's what I want to see with Thiago. I want him to get on the ball and just run the game, even if the Man City do like to dominate possession. But what you're seeing with Curtis Jones is actually he's cleaning up a lot of the time, and Thiago's not just sitting there like you would probably expect him to do, which I like. I like that they're a little bit more fluid. It allows him to get a bit further forward into these other half spaces, looking to make tackles as well. And he put an early one on Gundogan in this game, who missed that penalty. I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? That's the weakness for me with Fabinho. It always will be. And look, to be honest, that's what they wanted. I think they wanted to get Sterling on the ball at times, isolate these players, because I think he's got the beating of Trent and of Fabinho, and he showed it. I think the one thing as well is that Fabinho, he's going to tackle him, and I think he thinks he's going to the byline. And I think that's what he was expecting to happen after he's beaten Trent. And look, that's the problem as well. Is once you beat Trent, then the centre-back's got to, do I come out? Do I not come out? Bit silly from both of them, but, there's got to be a bit of blame on Trent there as well in this one. It was difficult for Liverpool because I think actually as the game progressed, I thought they were good. I thought they got much better. And I tell you what, missing that penalty is absolutely huge. And look, he set his stall out. He wants to control the game. And I think, look, you've got some changes that you can make. If you bring Jesus on, then you've got yourself a proper centre forward. But what I want to see from Liverpool, I want to see them just take the handbrake off. Just have a real go at them. Because I think what's good about this, and I'll show you one last time, is that because it's so clogged up in the midfield, it's actually working out for Liverpool a little bit, because in the wider areas, there is space, because you've got these two guys playing so far up and pressing that sometimes they're able to get the ball in better areas, and create overloads in those wide areas. So I think in previous games, we've said the long passing is something that needed to stop. In this game, keep switching it. Keep switching it. Keep looking for those long passes, because I think that's where it's going to work. It's not going to work in these areas. I just think it's too congested, in my opinion. Who wins this game? I want to see Man City win it. I want to see Liverpool win it. And I've got a funny feeling. Here comes the prediction. Mane 1-0 Liverpool. Stop the momentum of Man City. Let's have a proper title. Let's have a proper title race. That's my prediction. I'd love to see it. Let's find out. You could toss a coin. It's more likely to be 0-0, but let's find out. I'll see you in a sec. Yeah. So those are my thoughts at half-time. But I do think this is why I keep putting in those half-time thoughts, because I think you do see a lot of aspects in the game that obviously change in the second half. So I had a bit of a disaster there in terms of it. Goals galore, which is lovely to see. Obviously, I've seen it with a lot of the big games this season. We joke about it being a curse and it being about me, but a lot of these 0-0s are because both teams don't want to play. But I tell you what, when we go through the goals here, because the pattern of play up until Alisson makes after he has a disaster, it's a very close game. It's a very, very close game. And I think we should just go through the goals really here, because I think that was that's what it comes down to. First of all, the first goal, Raheem Sterling had Trent on toast throughout the game. I think there was a couple of tackles after that. We've sort of figured it out. Look, you make those predictions at half time. But look, I thought Liverpool, if you think back to that first half, Liverpool were not the better team, but I think were dominating possession for sure, getting in decent areas, and Man City were being quite careful. What I think, you can pick the bones out of this as much as you want to, but it comes down to one-on-one duels and the likes of Foden being too good, and the likes of Raheem Sterling being too good. Raheem Sterling absolutely destroys Trent here. It's far too easy. Far too easy. And you've got to be honest, I think with Sterling, he's right-footed. So, try and make sure he has zero chance of doing anything else. I guess the problem with someone as brilliant as Raheem Sterling is the fact that he's got the pace to go down this way as well, But look, the first goal comes from that. Gundogan with just incredible instinct, incredible confidence, regardless of the fact that he misses that penalty. Let's remember, this could have been 5-1. But in terms of the goals, first goal, Trent gets done. Second and third goals, Alisson. Oh. And then the final goal. And to be honest, that penalty, that's Fabinho making a mistake. And then the final goal, look, I'm not going to go mad on Robertson, but Foden has him on toast, gets that yard and then smashes it in. So 3 of the back 5, have all got done, basically. These things happen, and that's down to the brilliance of Foden, the brilliance of Raheem Sterling, the great running of Gundogan, sure. But I think what I've been surprised by, and I'd be intrigued to know what you guys think about this, is it feels like there are so many excuses for Liverpool, rightly so, and people go on about them. But watching that game and the commentary that was put forward, it's just excuse after excuse after excuse. Alisson has just handed Man City the game, a game in which Liverpool get their goal, and let's have it right. Let's have it both ways. Diaz makes a massive mistake for that one, right? Diaz tries to be too cute, and Salah's able to get it. It gets through, goes down. It's a penalty, terrible from Diaz, and Salah scores the goal. And after that, Liverpool start to have that zip about them. They do start to have that zip about them. And I'll tell you what, I wrote down here, Mane. Like the ball was onto him, and they were starting to play with a bit more zip, as I'm saying. Because I think that's the thing. We talk about systems, we talk about tactics all the time. I do it myself, and it's interesting. But you can't legislate for terrible mistakes and people not doing their job. And for Liverpool, and throughout the season, on too many occasions, Liverpool they've got so much credit in the bank that it's easy to go, oh, look, they're trying, they're making mistakes. It'll come. But in the games against the lesser teams, Salah's not been good enough. Firmino's not been good enough. The attacking six haven't been good enough. Forget the centre-backs. And then in a game like today, Alisson cannot make the mistakes that he's made there. His head completely went. And that, the cracks in that, we joke about Liverpool cracks, but the cracks in that come, throughout the season and attack the kind of confidence. But Alisson, the first one, he gets away with it. First one for the second goal that he gets. He gets away with it. Then it's a terrible clearance after that. These are basic things from world-class international footballers. These are kind of credit that we've given that back line, and will continue to when they resurface and get the confidence back. But it's just amazing how confidence can play a huge factor, but also at the same time where you've got to sometimes just accept it's not feeling right. And so that second goal from Alisson, first one, people make mistakes. You let it go. He's got enough credit in the bank. Fine. The second one is absolutely inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. Sometimes you just need to give yourself 4 or 5 minutes, whack it up the pitch, get your head right. And because you see it after that second goal goes in, he goes straight to get his water and pours it over his head. Because we've all been there. We've all been in that quicksand. Unbelievable. We've got to give Man City credit. We should give Man City credit. I thought Foden was unbelievable. Up front on his own, Fabinho couldn't handle him. I thought Henderson had a good game. I thought Curtis Jones had a good game for Liverpool as well. I thought Mane made some great runs and just didn't get the ball a lot of the time, and that comes due to that missing out on that driving force of Henderson in midfield as opposed to him at the back. But I thought Henderson of that back five was great. But I tell you what, Foden, the strength that he has, the fearlessness that he has, and then the IQ that he's got, unbelievable. He nearly set up a ball from a set piece as well. There's the how clinical he is with that final goal is he does Robertson, puts him on his bum pretty much, and smashes it into the top corner. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the point I'm settling on here is that we have been so big in terms of our praise for Liverpool for a long time. But I tell you what, we forget how smart Guardiola is and how brilliant this Man City team is. Because I tell you what, that midfield was superb. And that's the other thing with Man City, so durable. And we don't talk about this enough in football. We have to remember this side of it, the psychological side of it. Because you've got a Man City team there with the bit between their teeth, a team that's tweaked the way that they've played, and it's made them so much more durable. And then it's given someone like Gundogan the license to be higher up the pitch. I think it was the Southampton game that's when it changed, where Gundogan's been able to be a lot further forward up with the striker, whoever that striker is at different times. And that comes from the fact that Cancelo comes inside. He's playing there with that's not Gundogan, is it? Gundogan is here, and you've got your two DMs there, and it gives him that license. And that comes from Guardiola seeing what needs to be done, seeing what needs to be done and doing it. I thought Mahrez was quiet, but he was just creating space a lot of the time. I thought Bernardo Silva, great work as always. Lots of interceptions from him. I wonder if it's there. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at these stats here, guys. Defensively, interceptions. Who's up there? Curtis Jones, good game. Zinchenko, Foden. I'm surprised. I thought Bernardo Silva would be a little bit higher than that. Maybe it wasn't him then. Oh, tackles. That was it. Tackles, 4 tackles from him. Getting involved, high intensity. Man City absolutely superb, and the title's theirs, isn't it? I think there's been toing and froing of like, who's going to get it? Who's going to get their hands on it? It's Man City's title now. There's just no way. They don't concede too many goals. The only goal they do concede comes from a penalty from poor play from them. Liverpool are out of sorts. Man United drawing a game like they did yesterday is part of those reasons. And ultimately, I think Man City would have taken a draw in this game and gone, okay, let's play against everyone else, and we'll probably beat them. And you're gonna have a few hiccups along the way. But a game like this, as a neutral, I was going, come on, Liverpool, stop the momentum, because momentum is so important. We talk about all those psychological aspects, the confidence, the hesitancy that comes from confidence, the lack of commitment that comes from the lack of confidence, all of these things, right? Man City are confident in what they're doing. They're certain in what they're doing. Liverpool at the moment is just that little half second where you've got to think about it, and it kills you. And you see the same when in their one-on-one duels. Last year it was fearless. It was on the front foot. This year it's just not there. It is just not there. And I think there's been a lot of circling around it. And I think initially you've got to have a moment where you go, okay, that's unlucky. It's not been good enough. It's actually been terrible from Liverpool, because if you're going to give them this watermark, then a little bit underneath it is one thing. But these kind of individual mistakes that they've never made before, it has to come down to one thing: confidence and fear. They're playing with just that element of fear. They've still got the chemistry that allows them to zip it about a little bit, but they didn't really knock down the door in the second half at all. And again, individual mistakes just absolutely killed them. Jacob Hodder with a super chat. Rodri goes under the radar. Class. Do you know what? I've struggled with Rodri a little bit. And I think the difference for me now, it's the system that's really helping him, because he doesn't have that athleticism to play there on his own. But what Guardiola's done so well is by moving Cancelo into that defensive midfield, he's just got a few more bodies around him, and it can be about not your athleticism, but more about your reading of it. I think he made quite a few clearances when I was looking at the stats here. So look, he had a great game today. I think every Man City player generally had a pretty good game. Foden and Sterling right up there. For me, let me know your man of the match, guys. But for me, it was definitely Foden and Raheem Sterling. In terms of impacting the game, the starting point comes from Raheem Sterling, winning the penalty in the first half, getting the first goal for the team in the second half. Rodri with 5 clearances there. I think that's interesting as well. This is a team that probably wouldn't have made these clearances in the past, Man City, but now they're going to go, well, let's just defend for a second. Let's stop conceding goals. And that's been the difference for Man City. They had a really lovely run of games between October and to now, pretty much. They've got a tough run of games coming up now. And in that, they were able to get themselves a bit of a foothold. And really, in a season with so much change, so many good teams, and as I say, so many games, controlled possession, I think, is really kind of coming to the fore in terms of that sort of drip water torture of dominating teams at the moment. It's amazing. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Any questions here? Let them rain down, and we'll talk about them for a second. But otherwise, if you want to subscribe to the channel, or if you at least have considered it, please do click the button. It massively helps me and the channel. Let me know what videos you want me to do in the coming weeks and months. Either they're just little simple questions, or if they're bigger things, we can dive into it on the James Allcott channel. And smash the like button as well. 660 people watching right now, which is amazing. So please do smash that like button. It massively helps. Let's get to some of your questions. Rob Turner, end of a Liverpool cycle. No, I wouldn't say that, because I'll tell you what I would say as well. I think sometimes the Van Dijk excuse, one element of the Van Dijk excuse that I don't think people use is when you look at those two big centre-backs for Man City, there's two areas, both boxes, where it makes such a difference as well. Because you have, defending them, you look around and you've got your two big guys there, and that's so useful. You always need about four big guys to be able to deal with teams when it comes to corners, and set pieces are huge in football. But the other thing is down the end when you see those two big centre backs coming into your box, and you think, how do we deal with it? For Liverpool, you've got Fabinho and Henderson. Last season with Van Dijk, when you see him trotting up for these corners, I think it gives everyone a little bit of a lift. Again, the psychological aspects of football are so important. And so in both boxes, but, how many set-piece goals have Liverpool scored this season? I'd be surprised. I'd be very, very surprised if it's high. I reckon they've scored very few from set pieces this season. And I think a big part of that is the kind of ripple effect of someone like Van Dijk and, that physical presence of him, that dominance of him in the air. It's a massive problem. So when he comes back, you get that back, and that gives you 20% more goals, and it gets you out of predicaments instead of it having to be down to your open play ability. So I don't think it's the end of the cycle completely. Ali, thoughts on Thiago? My thoughts on Thiago are that I worry about his athleticism. I do worry about his athleticism in this team. And I think in a more settled team, then it maybe will pop about a little bit better. I thought he was going to be that guy who's just going to sit there and dominate. I now think that actually what they had in the first half, the more fluid midfield three of Curtis Jones, Thiago and Wijnaldum. I actually quite like that, because I think they can all kind of do those different bits. The problem you've got with Thiago sometimes is that, I just don't think... I think a bit like Rodri, I think if he's on his own defensively, that can be a bit of a concern. There's a few sort of he sort of dives into tackles a little bit too much. And so if you're doing that as a sort of, if you imagine an inverted triangle, if he's one of those two, then I think he's going to be all right. But if he's doing it, if he's got to be the last man, I think there's going to be moments. So here he is. If you have him here and he loses the ball or people dribble past him, you've got that insurance policy. Again, this is where Henderson needs to come in, because I think you can have fluency where he does it, Henderson pops in, you swap it back round, same goes with Wijnaldum. But I think he struggled in this game. I thought he was very poor in the first half, and second half, look, you're let down by the individual errors, in my opinion. So yeah, I love him though. You know that, right? Ben Popham with the super chat. Do you think this season is now a Champions League battle for Liverpool, or will still be comfortable top four for them? Love the content, Jim. Thank you, my friend Ben. I feel that they'll... I tell you what, I mean, the continuous problems. Kabak's going to be... Henderson needs to be in midfield. He has to be in midfield. I come back to this a few times. It's like the psychological elements of the game. Leadership's so huge, and standards that you set for the rest of your team is so huge. Henderson needs to be in midfield to set them, both with him setting it as an example in terms of the press and his confidence on the ball, but also, in terms of asking for more from the players around him. I think he's struggling to do that at centre-back. So if he can get himself back into midfield, I think you see a different Liverpool. I do. I think you'll see a different Liverpool. So I think they'll be fine in terms of top four. But to be what could be 13 points off Man City, wow, that's an absolute disaster. What do you think who do you think gets top six? I think the top six, unfortunately with these kind of things, it often ends up kind of fitting itself. Do you know what I mean? And kind of the cream rises to the top a little bit. At the moment, I think Liverpool, you expect them to kind of return to being better, because again, like I say, look, don't get it twisted. Today for Liverpool, they should come off that pitch and Klopp could go, you were in the game. You were in the game. And you've completely thrown it away by not getting touch tight with Sterling. And that comes from Trent being an attacking outlet for them, so that's difficult. But Fabinho doesn't want to get sucked out, which actually I thought was another good thing that Man City did, by having those two wide players and not really having a centre forward. The centre backs all kind of want to get sucked out of position, especially when you've got two bombing on fullbacks. But they didn't get touched like that. It's individual errors. Alisson has handed Man City the title. I stand by what I've written there as the title. Because you can't, one mistake's fine. Cannot make two at this level. Terrible. And Robertson gets done for the fourth goal. You know, as brilliant as it is. But so the overall performance is different to the individual mistakes, right? So Liverpool, I think, will still finish top four, absolutely. I think Leicester City ticking away. I think the same four will be... I think Leicester City are going to do something this year. I'm hoping that Chelsea don't get in there. I think Chelsea might be fifth. Let me show you it. Chelsea to be fifth. I think Tottenham, something's not right there, you know. And you've got to be careful with Harry Kane. And you're going to have all these Europa League games coming up. I've got a funny feeling that they might be seventh or lower at this moment in time. So it's up for grabs for who else wants it. West Ham, you would imagine, wouldn't be able to keep it going. But you never know. You never know. Right, guys. I think that's enough from me, really. Look, the big thing is the individual errors. You cannot do that. It's terrible. And it's over. It is over for Liverpool now. I'll tell you what. Unbelievable. If you've enjoyed this video, like I said, please do me a favour. Consider liking the stream and hitting the sub button as well. Or one last super chat. We'll do some Q&As on here live soon. So if you want to make sure you're there for that, like I said, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Okay, hang on. Ali Al-Rabi, vids I'd like you to make. Deep analytical stuff like the article by Peter. Looking forward to more of that. Go and check that out, guys. Passing combinations of every team. Hopefully you'd like it. Go give it a try. It's really fascinating stuff. So that's on the channel as well. Loads of videos still to come. Like I said, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate all the support you guys are giving me. Thanks for the super chats and all of that.